It's disappeared on newspaper, but of course it has not disappeared on the border. The border crisis is still getting worse, not better. Despite all the assurances of a crackdown, the Border Patrol once again says they don't have the staff to process everyone. For the fifth straight day, more than 300 migrants were dropped off in buses across San Diego, bringing the number more than 3,300 border crossers who were released into that city last week. The city's Border Patrol facilities are simply overwhelmed. They have nowhere to put the people. We're seeing trains full of migrants racing towards the Rio Grande. Folks are climbing over the fences. We're often told that these migrants are made up of families escaping roving gangs of thugs in places like Venezuela or Guatemala. The reality, though, is that we don't know who these people are or where they are coming from. Border Patrol now reports a 900% spike in Chinese migrants crossing to the southern border in the last year. The numbers are staggering. Almost 10,000 Chinese nationals were encountered at the border, and just 1,500 of those were made up of families. The rest, over 8,000 Chinese nationals crossing the border, were single. They're not families looking to live the American dream. In reality, we don't know who they are, and we don't know the exact number of Chinese nationals crossing. We know the ones who are caught. Oftentimes, it's at least double that are not caught. Here now to discuss all of this, Chairman of the House Homeland Security Committee, Congressman Mark Green. Good to see you, sir. Thank you. It's curious, right? Because China, it's not like you can just drive to the airport and hop on an international flight. You need an exit visa. You got to get money out of China. All of these things. Who are all these people?
Well, there's a considerable number of them that actually have CCP ties and PLA ties.
All right, so this is the People's Liberation Army.
Yeah, and the Communist Party.
And so we're looking at the video of these guys. When you say ties, what does that mean?
So there are actual members who were in the People's Liberation Army, the People's Liberation Air Force, and they are here in the United States, released into the United States.
So what are they here to do? They're probably going to work at their grandma's Chinese restaurant? What's going on?
No, they're claiming asylum, that they're fleeing, looking for a better life, that they're persecuted back in China. And the number's 18,000 this fiscal year, by the way. 18,000.
So 18,000 caught.
18,000 caught. That's exactly
right.
So
what do we expect that to mean in terms of the numbers who have gotten away?
So typically you say 20%. That's what Chief Ortiz, when he was the border chief, said. The unknowns are 20% more. That's
right, but plus the gotaways. We don't know how many.
That's exactly. Well, the gotaways are a different set of numbers.
Yeah. All right. So what's the deal here? Are these spies who are coming in to be ready for a conflict with China to all of a sudden start like the Russians had the illegals program during the Soviet times?
So I think you would understand this because you went and did some reporting in Ukraine, as I recall. This is what concerns me. Clearly, the Russians infiltrated people, migration, who set up homes in Ukraine, and then were saboteurs in the invasion. Now, I'm not saying that China is going to invade the United States, but if we were to defend Taiwan, I mean, the highest number ever before was 1,200. And suddenly, in this fiscal year, 18,000? I mean, you have to think that this is a part of some plan or strategy. You'd be foolish not to at least consider that.
All right, so we're looking at pictures, all military-age men, a lot of them with shaved heads. A lot of them have come through Venezuela, where the Chinese have very close ties. You say we'd be fools not to consider it. So they become saboteurs during a war with China over Taiwan, something like that. Is there anything we can do about this?
Well, right now, they're basically bum rushing our military installations and stumbling into the gates in large numbers. We actually had a group that were caught in scuba gear swimming off of a naval installation.
They were just tourists, though, right?
They were just
great scuba diving.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, you got to raise the question mark here.
We've just got some video from Jorge Ventura, who's one of our reporters on the border, very, very well sourced, that the cartels now are about to release a huge flood across the border. Does this sort of lay bare that the Biden administration's idea of we're going to make it harder to claim asylum on and on and on is not working?
Oh, no, it never was intended to not work. It was just that the CBP One app was a game. It was just to try to create some legal pathway into the United States. We had 177,000 cross last month, and that's almost back up to the highs. So this notion, and the reason it dipped in June was because we had a massive heat wave in the southern U.S. Of course, people were coming in fewer numbers then. They never intended to decrease the numbers. Look, now they're talking about remain in Texas. I mean, you've heard this.
Yeah, the Remain in Texas thing. Right, we have all these people who have broken the law already, risked everything to come to America, but for some reason they're going to decide to stay in Texas and not cross that border,
Yeah,
even though
but
the
well, it's hypocritical because if they wanted them in the U.S. to fill jobs, which is what they said, why keep them just in Texas? They're contradicting their own selves.
that would be what politicians do. It's good to see you, sir.
Good to see you.
Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation